Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my WWE Raw review for tonight, Monday, August 26, 2013, from Phoenix, Arizona. And my thoughts on tonight's Raw. Well, we have two matches made for Night of Champions, including a match I knew was going to happen that was made tonight, stemming from a match this evening on Raw. Actually, the two matches that are made for Night of Champions did stem from results of matches this evening, which I'll get to when I explain them. Plus, the ongoing power struggle, the corporation takeover of the McMahon family, dominated Raw yet again this evening with another Gauntlet match involving the one Daniel Bryan, which was made during our opening segment, which involved Triple H coming out, being the corporate kiss ass, and even Christian said it in an interview that it feels like the McMahon Helmsley era all over again. I even saw a sign tonight that said Corporation 2.0 about this whole storyline. It does feel like that. No matter what power hungry era you want to say, if it's the McMahon Helmsley era again, or the corporation era again, the era of these two regimes siding with the heels and punishing the faces, firing everybody in sight for their own amusement, which Triple H almost did tonight, or he threatened to do tonight as part of this gauntlet. As Triple H came out to begin the show, talking about, business. You know, business is screwing Daniel Bryan out of his moment when I buried him. Cena didn't bury him, I did. You know what I meant. You know what I mean? And he talked about, Orton cashing in Money in the Bank, and here comes said Randy Orton, the so-called face of the WWE, as Triple H would christen him. And Triple H is like a corporate CEO. He likes to pamper his well-breeded people with gifts. And he didn't give Orton a gift. The gift of Escalade, which I knew someone was going to destroy one way or another. That would be Daniel Bryan. And he did later on in the evening. So there you go. Let's say Orton's Escalade became another accolade. And of course, D-Bar once again ran down Triple H for being a sellout, and not a rapper anymore, being a kiss-ass suit guy. And even Triple H quoted, when you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. It does make a difference in business, Daniel Bryan. It matters who you are. I don't want a dwarf to be a champion. I want a pretty boy like Orton to be my champion. D-Bar even called Orton Twinkle Toes Orton. I saw a lot of pretty boy signs too, so that kind of fed into that too. And the Shield were the security guards. Once again, I call them cronies of Triple H. I mean, they were security guards last week, and now they were again this week. They came out before Triple H did, and the Gauntlet match was made. Within that, as the Gauntlet would be the Shield taking on Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's last Gauntlet match, after he got announced as the number one contender for Cena's title at SummerSlam, with him against the Real American, Swagger, and specifically the match against him and Cesaro, ending up with that stupid match with Ryback. It was a great gauntlet, especially that match with Cesaro. Now let's get into action with a one-on-one matchup that led to an impromptu tag match. With Damian Sandow ringside, he was ready to see his former BFF Cody Rhodes take on Fandango. So Fandango and Cody Rhodes were trying to, get positioning, and Cody was really dominating all over Fandango, going until Fandango tried to take control of the chin lock until his music started playing for whatever reason. And then here comes a guy who Fandango interrupted during SummerSlam. A man I knew a feud was going to start with after interrupting him at SummerSlam, of course, referring to The Miz. I kind of had a suspicion that when Fandango interrupted all of Miz's segments at SummerSlam that this feud was going to develop, and it did. When Miz came out wearing Fandango's pants, wearing his jacket, and coming out with Wilson Mendez kind of making fun of Fandango and his dancing. With that distraction, with Fandango being distracted by The Miz, he got caught off guard, got wound up by Cody Rhodes. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes gets the victory over Mr. Fandango. That led to Fandango getting a little bit of payback on Cody, beating the crap out of him until Sandow came in to basically help him double team. Till Miz came in to help, which caused Brad Maddox, another kissing ass to Triple H and McMahon's, making the impromptu tag match. It was The Miz teaming up with Cody Rhodes against Fandango. And of course, Mr. Damien Sandow, Money in the Bank. Not cool. Of course, the match started on the WWE app, which I like to chill a lot. Of course, Mr. Fandango got it on a few times in his matchup. They duked it out a few times until Fandango tried to be a pussy again. But early going, Miz and Cody did fight, had the early advantage until, of course, Sandow came in, isolating Cody and his corner, getting the hot tag, trying to get hot tags and Fandango in until he got back in. Sandow did with delivering the elbow to Stain, delivering his big moves to Cody. Delivering some high fashion offense. His smart intellect was indeed getting the best of Cody was until Cody got the hot tag in to Mr. Miz, and he destroyed Sandow, even weakening his leg. It looked like he was going to do the figure four. And Fandango does what he's been doing to a lot of tag team partners, walking out on him. So basically, Fandango left Sandow high and dry to get an attempt to be in the figure four leg lock before running into a feed after being tripped up by Cody, running into the skull-crushing finale of Miz, and the 1-2-3 victory for Miz and Cody Rhodes. Of course, Miz got a little piece of Fandango tonight, but I know Miz and Fandango ain't over yet. Their feud will continue on, especially since Fandango did have the last word by saying his name yet again on the mic. It's Fandango. So there you go with that. Now, on with next situation there, which was a match involving CM Punk and Curtis Axel with a stipulation in place. Had a couple of segments, an interview segment with Punk, an interview segment with Triple H, talking to Christian. Christian, like I said, he did mention the McMahon-Helmsley era and, not want to be punished because he felt the wrath of the McMahon-Helmsley era about talking behind their backs. And, of course, Christian was put in a position to take on Randy Orton in a non-title match. But like I said, next matchup would be CM Punk against Curtis Axel with the WWE app. Fans got to vote for the stipulation, and I knew what stipulation everyone was going to choose. Even I chose it. A was the referee. B was banned. Actually, A stipulation was to get Paul Heyman banned. B was to make him special guest referee, which I knew that wasn't going to happen. C, if Punk wins, he gets Paul Heyman. Well, I knew C was going to be the vote, and C was the winning vote. But I knew something sneaky was going to happen to avoid a Paul Heyman Punk showdown. So we'd have the match between Punk and Axel, and Punk, despite finding off injuries that he sustained at the match against Brock Lesnar, he came in motivated because he wanted this win over Axel, because he knew if he were to beat Axel with this stipulation, he would get finally what he wanted, his hands on Heyman. So Punk came in with a big ounce of basically fighting with adrenaline, and basically feeding off the fact that he wants to get his hands on Heyman, dominated the matchup for the early going, and of course being distracted by Heyman, even chasing Heyman down the ramp, even though the match wasn't over yet, and he got but attacked in the ramp area by Axel, and Punk did dominate until Punk landed on the floor, and finally did the big splash moves on Axel until Axel did his own little move on the floor, getting him the advantage for midway towards the matchup. With Axel delivering some high finesse perfection, as he likes to call it, since of course his father, Kurt Hennig, the deal, hence the first name of his new character. Getting a big moves, including drop kicks and big moves. Of course, Punk was still infatuated, getting hands on Heyman. Like the Lesnar match, Punk did got distracted by the thirst for revenge on Heyman, but unlike the Lesnar match, which his infatuation with Heyman cost him the match against Lesnar, it didn't cost him the match against Axel. Despite Axel trying all of his efforts and numerous attempts at the DTS, the third attempt finally was the nail in the coffin for Axel in the 1-2-3 victory for CM Punk in a decent okay matchup against Axel, which meant that Heyman was gonna have to get in the ring with Punk. Despite every attempt to escape, everybody knew that the stipulation would have to be binded. And Heyman tried to run it back twice. It was pulled back every time. The first time it was pulled back by the referees. Then it was pulled in by the security. Even security tossed him back out. That second time when security brought him out, Heyman was in the ring. And indeed Punk was going to hopefully try to do what he wanted to do. Get his hands on Heyman. But as Punk was going to finally attack Heyman, Curtis Axel came back and nailed Punk with a low blow. I knew there was going to be some sneaky to prevent this showdown from really happening. And then they brought handcuffs to the game. They handcuffed Punk's arm, and Axel held Punk up as Heyman was doing a slapping game on Punk's face. Despite somewhat being helpless with his hands, Punk tried to use all of his other body parts to get payback by literally kicking the head off of McGillicuddy with a big insecurity, taking him out. McGillicuddy, aka Curtis Axel, same thing. With Axel taking out with the nasty insecurity, Heyman got kicked literally by Punk, and Punk was literally going to kick his ass until Axel came back, nailed him in the back with a steel chair, rendering Punk helpless yet again. With Punk still handcuffed and taken out with a chair shot, Axel looked for another weapon to bring in to punish Punk even more. And he found a Kindle stick. Took that out, and with Punk being held up by Curtis Axel, Paul Heyman took that Singapore cane, Kindle stick, what you want to call it, and nailed the stick into Punk's chest. He was like saying, "I love you. I mourned for you. I am the walrus. You know what I meant." So, there you go. They can quote Wish Upon a Star, but he can't quote a Beatles song. Well, money. Anyway, after Paul punished Punk with the Kindle stick shots, and you saw the bloody back of Punk, even though I think he got nailed in the back too. You know, when Punk laid out, Heyman's like, "You broke my heart, Punk." He was crying a little bit, trying to sell this for what it's worth. With Punk not satisfied with what happened, with his attempt to finally get his hands on Heyman failed, he went to Pat Maddox wanting a match with Heyman and Night of Champions. Now, I live in Michigan. North of Detroit, Michigan, of course, the home of Night of Champions. And, when you watch Raw and there's an event in your area, there's local commercials advertising the show. So there was a local advertisement for Night of Champions tonight during the show, right before the Punk-Heyman match, Punk-Heyman-Axel match. And they advertised, of course, the big main event, Daniel Bryan against Randy Orton, the rematch. But he also said, will this be the night that CM Punk finally destroys Paul Heyman? Would advertise some sort of Paul Heyman Punk encounter at Night of Champions for the local commercials, and now it's now happening. Punk will get in a handicap match, Paul Heyman and Curtis Axel. One match made because of that situation. So, and they put a stipulation on that if Paul Heyman would back out of this match, he would be fired. So Heyman has to go on with his match. Well, basically, it'd be like breach of contract. That's what it really is. Breach of contract, you get fired for not performing as advertised. So there you go. Handicap match made in the stem. In the aftermath of the Punk Axel match, with Punk getting the victory, trying to get his hands on Heyman, but got nailed with a Kindle stick while handcuffed. Now, on with a Divas match with JoJo introducing him. It was Natalya taking on Brie Bella in a SummerSlam rematch. Now, Natalya got the victory at the SummerSlam pay-per-view. And let me say this, more people watch the VMAs than the Total Divas. They've made some references to the VMAs, talking about Miley a little bit and making fun of the NSYNC reunion. So they made some little comments. The commentators did. Michael Cohen, King, and JBL kind of made some VMA comments tonight. Of course, the Bella twins, the other one, Nikki, was in the ring. Or not in the ring, but a couple Bree to the ring, and Eva Marie, and of course, Punkadactyls when they called on Natalia, and, you know, it was a typical Divas match, and even Bree tried to do a decent, okay move on Natalia, but not much there. Natalia did have Bree in the sharpshooter again, until referee got distracted by the other Divas getting involved. And then, Nikki pulled Natalia out of the ring, which helped Brie get the final move to get the victory in a cheating victory for the Bella Twins. Brie went out, thought we Twin Magic again. You know, typical Divas. And then the AJ show. AJ Lee, the Divas champion, basically, I think in my mind, spoke the truth about at least 99% of the entire Divas division, and specifically 99% of the entire Total Divas cast, with the exception of Natalia. She really, you thought about men delivering great promos? I think AJ delivered a great promo tonight. Talking about how she watched Total Divas and they're a bunch of mannequin bitches. That's what they fucking are. That's what the entire Divas division is. Mannequin divas who are models who are trained to wrestle instead of wrestlers who look like models. Like in TNA, like I've been saying for weeks. Broken record, broken record. You know what I mean? She really bummed everybody about saying that these women turn reality TV because they can't be actresses. You know, they go into wrestling to be on TV. That's the point about most of the wrestlers these days. Like, when you're a wrestler, you want to wrestle. You want to wrestle for anybody and everybody that can give you a chance. But most of everybody in the WWE now, they just want to be sports entertainers. They want to be TV stars. That's the Divas for you right there. But the 15 minutes of fame, and AJ's like, I brought back the Divas division. Yes, AJ's kind of that model type too. But I think she's kind of shown some wrestling ability, especially she's a fan of Lita, as we've seen in all kind of footage. And she does have a killer submission move. And she's the only good thing about the Divas division. I think AJ is the CM Punk, weird to say that, of the Divas division. Because AJ is like CM Punk in promos. She did deliver a great promo about, you know, you get the reality check, bitches, or something like that. And the Bella, like, you saw the reactions of the faces just stood there. Like, Natalia was in the ring with the Funkadactyls and JoJo just standing there, like, nodding their heads every time. And the Bella Twins were like screaming a little bit, like, come on, say it to my face, say it to my face, bitch. You know, they'll say that, but anyway. So there you go. Brie Bella gets the cheap win, while AJ burns the Divas division. I made a prediction that AJ was gonna defend the Divas championship against Caitlyn. I think she's gonna defend against one of the Total Divas chicks. It's gonna be either AJ against Natalia or any other Total Divas cast members. I think AJ's on a war against the Total Divas cast. I think one of them's going to volunteer to take on AJ for the title at Night of Champions. Speaking of matches made for Night of Champions, and this being in the aftermath of matches on Raw tonight, 1-2, Alberto Del Rio taking on Rob Van Dam, accompanied by his new ring announcer, Ricardo Rodriguez. Now, they added the stipulation. I said as my attack today that this match could help RVD get a title match, or it indeed would, as they added a stipulation later on during the match that if RVD were to win this match, and become the world champion again for the second time, because he beat him a few weeks ago when Ricardo got turned on by Alberto 3 weeks ago. If RVD would win this match, he would get a title shot at Night of Champions. And RVD, with that on, he indeed used his high-flying style to his advantage doing a monkey flip, and Alberto had no way to counter the high-flying moves for a moment. Like, Alberto was indeed awestruck and unable to answer RVD's offense for the early portion of the matchup, until Alberto found the way to weaken Mr. RVD by nailing him out the ring, and of course nailing him with the big kicks and trying to weaken the arm to indeed hook up the cross arm breaker, which would kind of be his downfall. Of course, RVD, despite Alberto trying to find a counter and try to find an answer to counter RVD's aerial attack, especially when he got the nail of the Rolling Thunder. Like I said, that's when RVD was on fire again, until needed RVD was to be punished by Del Rio nailing some nasty kicks with big moves, and of course was ready to weaken that arm to set up the cross arm breaker. And RVD's announcer, Ricardo, was of course, trying to rally up the fans by saying, RVD. The fans in Arizona were pretty decent tonight. Pretty good for Daniel Bryan and pretty good fandangoing during the Fandango match. Even ADR, Alberto was like making fun of RVD, like doing the ADR. And, every time that RVD was down, like I said, Ricardo would always do like the Tyler Valley fans saying, "What, man, damn." And as Alberto was setting up the cross-arm breaker, Ricardo was on top of the announce table, doing the RVD thumbs, and Alberto got distracted with that. Like what happened the last time RVD was in the ring. RVD got the victory after Ricardo, at the time, inadvertently hit Alberto with the bucket, and once again, distracted by Ricardo's RVD impression to rally the fans up. Alberto got caught with a distraction, got wound up by Rob Van Dam. 1, 2, 3, RVD gets the victory, and indeed, he'll be facing off against Alberto Del Rio for the World Championship at the Night of Champions pay-per-view. And I knew that, like I said last week, that I knew that Alberto was going to face RVD the Night of Champions for 2 reasons. 1, since RVD's aligned with Ricardo now, and 2, because Night of Champions is in Detroit, RVD's home state. Here in Michigan. So there you go. With a little help from Ricardo, RVD gets the victory and gets a title shot against Alberto. So we have, like I said, 2 matches made for Night of Champions tonight. RVD against Alberto in the CM Punk handicap match against Axel and Heyman. No IC title match at Night of Champions, unless they decide to make it for the IC Championship, which I think they're probably going to do, since every championship must be defended. So I bet you it will be a handicap match for the Intercontinental Championship. Unless they're gonna make Axel wrestle twice. We'll see how that we'll see how they handle that. Now, even Heyman was interviewed about this whole situation, saying that Punk had to be punished. The prodigal son had to be punished, blah, 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 blah. Besides that segment, we saw a segment involving Goldberg, Ryback, Ryback, Bully. This new thing is stupid, Basically, it's WWE's way of saying, sorry, Ryback, we got nothing for you right now. Just bully everybody in sight until we find something good for you to do. Now, the match involving Randy Orton and Christian. It was nice to see these 2 wrestle again. Because 2 years ago in 2011, they had a great trilogy of matches in 2011. Great rivalry between these 2. Randy Orton didn't just screw Daniel Bryan. Randy Orton's had a history of screwing people out of championships where they deserve it. For example, Christian. In 2011, Christian won the World Championship at Extreme Rules. 2 days later on SmackDown, he lost it in an impromptu match against Randy Orton. The real logic for you. So Christian knows how it feels to get screwed, like D-Boy did. Not by Triple H, but backstage screw job. Not an on-screen screw job, but it was a backstage screw job. Only have the title for a few days until losing it in an impromptu last-minute match against Orton. He did get the title back, but still, it was all but lost after that. And the matches were very good. The Edge match was awesome. The match in Money in the Bank was pretty good. Capital Punishment was good too. SummerSlam match was good too, especially the DQ law that if Orton did get disqualified, Christian would win the match or school recall. So nice to see these 2 wrestle again, and it did end up like the other matches. The first couple matches was very slow going, but then it was very back and forth. I like the near falls. It was like very fast-paced matchup where they got going. Orton nailing all of his big moves. Christian did too, even nailing the spear. And Orton did try to RKO many times. Same with Christian. Like Christian was trying to do the kill switch many times during this matchup. And it was really good. Like I said, it was nice to see these guys wrestle again. They proved once again why the matches were good. And once again, what I said in my SummerSlam review, I said that Christian, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and Chris Jericho are 4 guys that can work a match and make a good match out of anybody. Christian proved that yet again tonight when he made another good match happen with him and Randy Orton. Like he did in 2011. Orton did all the big moves, including, like I said, the DDT off the middle rope. And then Orton had a slide move, and unfortunately, Orton, being a heel again, he found a heel way of winning the matchup. Christian got some great action into it, some great counter moves. Orton counting the ducking the RKO, doing a DDT move as well, big tornado DDT move. And it was even a killer spot when Christian was on the apron on the middle rope, going for a big move on Orton, and then Orton pushed him off the middle rope, and he landed gingerly on his neck, like his back snapped back on the apron. That was a nasty spot, and Christian continued despite being knocked off of the apron and landing his head on the canvas, on the corner of the canvas. I was trying to show you, but I can't find a way to imitate it without getting hurt. Kind of. Don't try this at home, kids. Anyway, and then Orton, like I said, tried to get the sneaky way of winning. As Christian was setting up for the kill switch again, Orton pushed Christian inadvertently into the referee. And when the referee distracted after getting Christian pushed into him, Orton got the poke in the eye in, cheap way, to feed the RKO in a 1-2-3 victory 4-way. And the Orton, cheap way of doing it, making Christian run to the referee to get the poke in the eye in. But as Orton was celebrating that little cheap victory, here comes Daniel Bryan by his call. Now, like I said in the beginning segment, I had a sneaky suspicion that Bryan was going to wreck his call. You know, it is the Austin McMahon feud all over again with Bryan against the McMahon family, rebelling against the corporate champion. They don't want to call him the corporate champion, but Orton is the corporate champion. You mean Orton's The Rock, because The Rock was the corporate champion, and Bryan is Stone Cold. So then Bryan went to Orton's truck, car, and I knew it was going to be destroyed, but not in the way I thought he was going to smash it, like Kofi Kingston did. I think Kofi Kingston wrote a tweet about, Randy, you leave your cars everywhere. You know, because Kofi did that. Kofi put a ton of paint on Orton's race car. So Orton's had a history of getting cars destroyed, or at least graffitied on. In this case, Daniel Bryan writing yes all over it, making the Escalade a Yescalade. And all the superstars were laughing it up so hard that Triple H started to punish everybody by making all the superstars, after giggling at Randy Orton's car getting graffitied by Daniel Bryan, that all the superstars would be forced to basically just sit and watch on the ramp Daniel Bryan's Gauntlet match against The Shield. And if anyone to interfere, someone would get fired. It is like the McMahon Helsley era. Like I said in the beginning, that Triple H, during McMahon Helsley era, he just fired anybody and everybody in sight for his own amusement. And he threatened to fire somebody tonight if they were to interfere. I was thinking maybe someone would interfere. Like Ted DiBiase. He's already getting fired. If you didn't see my attack letter today, Ted DiBiase is not renewing his contract. So that would have been funny if Ted DiBiase were to interfere and he were to get fired, a way to be written off WWE, because he is getting fired. He is leaving the company. But it didn't happen. Until then, on with a singles match involving members of the Real Americans and the PTP, Primetime Players. Last week, the PTPs got the victory in a tag match over the Real Americans, and Darren Young defeated Antonio Cesaro in a singles match. Speaking of tag teams, we saw another video promoting the Los Matadors tonight, aka Primo and Epico. That's what I'm hearing. Repackaged Primo and Epico. And now that Rosa Mendes is now managing Miz, she may not be accompanying Los Matadors, aka Primo and Epico anymore. Now on to this matchup, like I said, Titus O'Neil taking on Jack Swagger after Cesaro took on Darren Young last week. Because Young was at ringside along with Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter. Antonio Cesaro and Zeb Coulter. Talking smack again, but still, then Swagger tried to come in with his flashy athletic wrestling moves. All over Titus O'Neil, the big deal. Got indeed back in the gun with his big athletic power moves to take down Swagger in the later half of the matchup, weakening the leg and setting up a big move. And O'Neil came back with, like I said, with the power game. And then, despite the power game, Swagger was indeed the smarts, hitting the knee again of Titus to weaken up and got the Patriot lock locked on. But O'Neil fought out of that move. And with Swagger distracted by Darren Young at ringside. Swagger walked into a big move, the finisher from Titus, his little finish in a 1-2-3 victory for Titus O'Neil, continuing the PTP's war. I've always said this, that I've loved the PTP's characters. I'm glad they're getting a little bit of a push, but maybe because of Darren Young coming out, but who knows? I support him, though, and I'm not homophobic at all. I support all people and proud of their decisions, no matter what sexuality they are. So the dance, and a lot of people are now liking the Primetime Players. I've always liked them, the characters, and now I'm liking their faces, because they're, whether or not they're doing the push because of Deep Young being gay or not, but still, I like the fact that the crowd's finally liking him now. Everyone's doing the dance. I'm liking it. I'm liking that PTP's finally maybe gonna push after all. So there you go. PTP singles victory for Titus O'Neil. Now on with the main event, the Gauntlet match, which involved the 3 members of the Shield, kicking off with Seth Rollins, then Ambrose, then Reigns, take on Daniel Bryan, with all the superstars being forced to watch at ringside and not do nothing or risk getting fired. And Renee Young trying to talk to Big Show and Miz and Dolph Ziggler about talking about Triple H, and they were scared. You know what I mean? And this corporation era, the McMahon era, if you talk smack against anybody, you talk smack about the McMahons, you get punished. And now everyone's scared about talking. They don't want to do anything because they fear punishment. They fear firemen. They fear getting fired. They want to save their jobs. They gotta, make a straight face and say nothing. And just go on with the jobs because they don't want to get fired. They want to be outspoken, but they saw when you do talk smack, you get punished. Christian got punished by taking on Orton tonight. Big Show and Dolph Ziggler got put in the handicap matches last week against the Shield. And Daniel Bryan's in the Gauntlet match tonight, so everyone's scared about getting involved. And you would see that as the match would wear on. So like I said, Seth Rollins was first against D-Bryan. And like the Cesaro match in the last Gauntlet that Daniel Bryan was in, the match against Rollins was the longest. And very, very athletic match between these guys. There's some decent spots, including my favorite spot. I've seen suplexes off the top rope, but I've never seen a German suplex off the top, proving once again why D-Bryan is the white face for WWE. I think Daniel Bryan kind of reminds me of Bret the Hitman Hart, because Bret the Hitman Hart didn't have any charisma, or he didn't have to be entertaining. He was a wrestler. That's why people loved him, because Bret was a great wrestler, and he did have some personality. And Daniel Bryan does have more personality than Bret Hart, but he's known as a wrestler, not an entertainer like a Cena type or an Orton type. Speaking of Cena, nice to see Cena out still. First Raw without Cena in a while. Well, besides a recap of his surgery, as we would see. Anyway, besides that great spot with the German suplex up the top, that was kind of cool. Of course, D-Bryan came in with this high-flying style. The crowd was pro D-Bryan with a lot of yes chants. But indeed, even after the suicide splash up the middle rope landing, pushing Rollins into the table, of course, Rollins found a way to ground D-Bryan, taking him, railing him against the outside area with some big clothesline moves and dominating the later half of the matchup after the early fury from D-Bryan. But D-Bryan, with his never say die attitude yet again, came back with some big closed fists. And indeed, do the big moves, the big high-flying moves, the big drop kicks, the big face moves. And as indeed, Rollins tried for a big move there, and Bryan got the crab on him. And then indeed, Bryan came back again, delivering some big moves, and after that big suplex, he got the pin and the victory after the suplex on Rollins. So after the pin on Rollins, no rest for the weary, here comes Ambrose. Ambrose walked right into the yes lock after D-Bryan tripped up Ambrose. But before Ambrose with a tap, here comes Roman Reigns attacking D-Bryan, causing a disqualification. So I think I should have known something screwy like this was going to happen. So after that DQ over Ambrose, Rollins, his tag team partner Reigns, would be next, and he would also be the victim of a yes luck until Rollins and Ambrose would come in and disqualifying Reigns, ending the Gauntlet in a no contest with the triple team on D-Block. And of course, no one was able to help. Even the fans were like trying to rally the superstars to defy authority and indeed help D-Block out, but unfortunately the threat of getting fired weighing in their heads. Even Big Show was like looking smug at Triple H. The people were even chanting Big Show, because Big Show wants to do the tag team title hunt with him and Henry against Rollins and Reigns. I know that match will be made soon. That tag team match for Night of Champions soon. But as the Shield would have delivered the triple powerbomb on D-Bry, here comes Triple H to watch the action. That's when Big Show had that smug look on his face. He was like looking at Triple H's eye, and he wanted to get in that ring so bad. And the fans, like I said, was egging him up. But of course, the threat of getting fired got to him because he didn't want to get fired. He didn't want to defy authority. He didn't want to suffer the consequences. Everyone's scared now. You know what I mean? So then, when Orton came out after D-Bry got the triple powerbomb, and then Orton came in. Shield, now the cronies of Triple H in this new regime, picking up D-Bry for Orton to get the RKO on Bryan to get a little bit of payback after D-Bry graffitied his car early in the evening, making it a escalade. So as D-Bry laid out, Raw ended with Orton standing tall as WWE Champion as Triple H and the Shield watched on gleefully as Raw went off the air. So there you go. D-Bry and Orton delivering a big message to D-Bry with that attack. So there you go. 3 matches for the United Champions thus far. Orton, D-Bry for the championship. WWE Championship. Alberto and RVD for the World Championship. CM Punk in a handicap match against Paul Heyman and Curtis Axel. I think the IC Championship should be on the line and will be on the line in the handicap match. That means if Punk would have pinned Axel or Heyman, Punk would be IC champion. That's what I think they should do, since it's Night of Champions. Now, I think AJ will defend the championship against a Total Divas cast member. I say Natalya. Or Bellatrin. Turn face or something. And I think Mark Henry, like I said, would team up with Big Show against the Shield. I also didn't mention, we did see a little video about the Wyatt family again. We didn't see a Kane come back tonight, but the Wyatt family did have a creepy video about the origins of the finishing move of Bray Wyatt, the sister Abigail. So that's kind of creepy. Once again, creepy. That's what I like about the Wyatt family. There you go. That's my Raw review for the evening. I'll see you all later. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. See you all later. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great night, everybody. And stay cool out there. It's very hot here, especially here in Michigan. Yeah.